Authorities are yet to make comment on the deaths of two Gambians at a Lebanese restaurant on Friday. The African Union says it is committed to ending the Libyan crisis. African Development Bank presents 2020 African Economic Outlook at the 33rd AU Summit. These and more stories coming on The World Today. Hello, it is 14:05 GMT here in our studios in Banjul. You are watching The World Today on Africa TV. I am Amadou Kanti, and now the news in detail. A high-class Lebanese restaurant in the Gambia is said to have lured two Gambians to jump into a soccerway, leading to their death on Friday. Meanwhile, the owner of La Parisian restaurant where the incident occurred has reportedly fled the country. Fire and Rescue Service Office said it is still busy with reports compilation. Details of that in this report.
A Lebanese owner of La Parisian restaurant is reportedly in the run after two Gambian youths he assigned to drain the soccerway at the restaurant died in the process. A 23-year-old Saini Kante from Wuli Jakunda in the Upper River region and Lamin Mane from a village in Nyamina got drowned in the underground septic tank at the restaurant located in Pipeline along the busy Kairava Avenue on Friday. According to eyewitness account, the two boys were assigned by the management of La Parisian restaurant to manually drain the sewage. One of them narrated that there was total confusion, but that did not disrupt the services of Food and Hospitality Center. In the absence of the senior management, a few junior staff who spoke to Africa on condition of anonymity said the owner of La Parisian restaurant by the name Ali left the Gambia on the very day of the incident. The manager on the ground is said to be in a state of disorder and was not available for comment. The management of La Parisian mourned the disaster by stopping the regular musical tunes in the restaurant for 3 days, says one of the staff. Bakari Kante, father to late Saini, said his son was the first to get inside the pit through a narrow manhole, after which the second victim joined in effort to rescue the other, a process in which they both died.
Sokoyelomo ni sifa komi ya wulile koko e jio saba birin jio fintita itel nyanta poto bondila yo baren teddi mala folo ka ke si julo ko pour ka bondi baren teddi mala folo buleta ya fo nyamemma so bira sirata ama fam fintindino ala nyin kafunyoma o ya kumanda me danko o bulata no pour ka fintindi o fana manna na fintino ko take ifulobe to tadinko ko na tenne.
A staff at Sarhab Medical Center in Kanifing confirmed that one of the victims was thrust in there by officials of the Fire and Rescue Services. The Commissioner of Oath in the Kanifing municipality approved explanation to the nature of the deaths of the two young men. However, no test was conducted on the young men to establish the cause of their deaths.
Police men ken nataliwo bayri ma masimbulaje masimben saitandi ko nyune ketele saboti imo masimbulaje ye camera de mbebe lori ne je camera bari ma masimbulaje masimben saitandi ko ka fu nyune yati na dindu nyune ketele fata imo masim na be bulu fale ma blenden tel nyalaje sondel ne yela ko dante tenne.
The Gambia Police Force as well as the fire service are yet to make comment on the matter despite numerous efforts to get them speak. The public relations officer at the fire service commented that a report is being compiled, but that was not enough to feed the media.
From that report on the unfortunate demise of those two young Gambians, next we move on to talk matters of the AU and the Arab League, because the African Union and the Arab League have agreed on a joint effort to bring about lasting peace in Libya. During the 33rd African Union Summit in Addis Ababa, head of states vowed to end any form of outside interference in the internal affairs of Libya. Libya has been engulfed in political uncertainty since the ousting of the former President Muammar Gaddafi by a NATO-led Western military coalition. And let's have more details of that in this report.
The African Union, in partnership with the Arab League, has vowed to spare no efforts in ending the Libyan crisis. African heads of state resolved in the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa to extricate Libya from the current crisis, calling for inclusive national reconciliation among the Libyan people.
I want to welcome the decision of the High-Level Committee on Libya for the speedy launching of the initiative of peace and reconciliation in Libya, in harmony with the decisions of the Berlin Conference and in conformity with the principles of African solution to African problem, far from the external influence which have perilous agendas for Africa.
During the AU summit, outgoing chairperson and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi raised concerns about the Libyan crisis, which he says risks increasing terrorism and extremism on the African continent unless strong measures are taken by the African Union. The summit pledged to consolidate the existing truce and reaching out for a permanent arrangements for a ceasefire. They also agreed to address all forms of external interference in the internal affairs of Libya and implement the security, political and economic roadmap agreed to in the Berlin process.
Africa has constantly reminded that there is no military solution to this problem. Its preference for a political process which is authentically and genuinely inclusive, and ownership by the Libyans of their own national destiny within the framework of their continental organization.
The United Nations, on its part, agreed to support any form of mediation, as long as it will lead to finding lasting solution to the crisis in Libya. The African Union says it's committed to finding a lasting solution to the current crisis in Libya. The continental body says no amount of external influence will deter its efforts in trying to resolve the political impasse in Tripoli.
Well, we hope the efforts of those two organizations will materialize so that peace can be restored in Libya. Well, from that report, we come back home and talk about Gambia-China relations, because the ambassador of China to Gambia has said that China will offer the Gambia with 5,000 metric tons of rice to fight hunger in the country. Ma Jin-chung made this disclosure during a meeting with President Adama Barrow at State House in Banjul. He commended Barrow for the creation of New Gambia. Let's listen to him in this insert.
I have a good talk with His Excellency President Barrow. I applaud the significant and remarkable achievement the Gambia government has made in building the new Gambia. We also exchanged some views on the cooperation between our two countries. I briefed His Excellency the progress and the plan in our practical cooperation between our two countries. For instance, I introduced to His Excellency the Chinese government Chinese government decide to offer about 5,000 metric tons of rice as the humanitarian emergency aid to help the Gambian people mitigate the harm of the extreme weather last year. I also introduced the situation of Chinese government and people are facing now. We are now, as you know, we are now working on combating the outbreak of the novel coronavirus. Under the leadership of His Excellency President Xi Jinping, Chinese government mobilized the whole China's resources across the China to battle against this kind of outbreak. Recently, mainly we concentrated in treating the patients well, and meanwhile to to curb the spread of the outbreak of the epidemic. So recently, some significant progress also has shown in China. So I also talked to His Excellency about this kind of situation. And His Excellency President Adam Barrow expressed his sympathy, solidarity, and support to the Chinese people, the Chinese government and Chinese people on behalf.
The Chinese ambassador to the Gambia speaking there after his meeting with President Barrow at State House in Banjul. And from that development, we will now take a break and come back shortly with the remaining of the story. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You are watching The World Today on iAfrica TV, and now to the rest of the stories. The Gambia Revenue Authority has said that the closure of Semlex will remain as far as the company fails to pay its taxes. Semlex obtained a controversial contract in 2016 from government of the Gambia for production of biometric identification of national documents as well as border closure systems. The Gambia's Collection Authority, in a press conference on Monday, blamed Semlex for tax evasion, although the exact amount was not disclosed. Hundreds of applicants of national documents found Semlex headquarters in Kanifing shot, with presence of Revenue Enforcement Police in the area on Monday morning. Binta Sise has more details of that in this report.
Gambia economy is largely tax-based, which makes regular and timely payment of taxes and other dues by companies and individuals relatively important. Some companies' failure to settle their tax arrears have led the Gambia Revenue Authority to close them down. Latest among the shutdown companies by the country's Revenue Authority is Semlex, a Belgian-based company that was contracted with the production of national identity documents for operating for nearly 2 years without paying corporate tax. In 2017, the authority closed the former pro-government newspaper Daily Observer for what it called media companies' failure to pay tax that amounted to more than $19 million. The Revenue Authority Monday convened a press conference at its head office in Banjul in connection to the closure of Semlex, where Commissioner General Yankuba Dabo blamed Semlex for negligence in paying their taxes after being given 2 times extension and failure to prove the Special Investment Certificate SIC for almost 2 years.
Semlex being a compound of the companies that is operating in the Gambia. When they started operating barely 2 years ago, we allowed them to operate based on the information that they gave us, that they will be working on having a tax exemption. We refer to it as SIC, Special Investment Certificate. And based on that information, we allowed them to operate for a 6-month period, and we didn't see the certificate, and they were not forthcoming. We still do an extension up to